Okay, let's just go through the watch list real quick. This is the watch list for February 7th, 2017. I was supposed to get one out yesterday, but I kind of just ran out of time. Um, so, as predicted, I'll put a buy signal right here just because of the price and the news that I was, expecting out of AMD. So it did exactly what I was expecting out of it. So if you did end up buying at the end of the day at like the worst possible price, you'd be up 28.6, 29%. If you bought on the gap, if you sold on the gap up, you'd be up 34%. So it's not a bad ratio. Up here I'd probably sell 50% just because it seems like it's about to go back down or go for a consolidation period. Now that could look like something like this before it starts going back up. But it's one of those where you just have to wait and see. Now I really am loving the buying volume. A lot of volume over here that is not being matched by a selling volume on the negative candles, which is an indication that it could keep going back up. So AMD looking really, really good right now. If you can get a good price on it, if it does gap down for whatever reason, if it goes back down because people are taking in their profits, then it should be something you should look into, especially with the Ryzen CPU coming out. I know I've been preaching this forever, but this isn't something I haven't researched. Or anyway, GLBS. The only reason why I'm looking at this is because of potential sympathy plays off of the shipping industry, like DRYs and SEAS and whatnot. I haven't drawn any trend lines or anything because I'm purely playing this off of the the overall market's signals, if you will. So if DRYs does good today, then this is probably going to do good, but this is going to be more of an intraday type of play. So GLBS, if you're looking at the market very closely, this might be a really good buy option if you're planning on selling on the same day. Now right now it's looking like it's developing into a little doji, so it could do a little reversal and go back down to like around 750 or something like that, but who knows. So that's GLBS. I just want to bring up BIOC because we haven't looked at this one in quite some time. Now, like I've been saying, it's bouncing off of the 23.6 Fibonacci retracement, which is good because patterns are trackable, I guess. You can track patterns, which the market typically likes. So you've got, if it does end up retracing back to something around this price at the $1.39 or the $1.40, you can get you can play it around there. But right now, just looking at the 20 EMA and simple moving, you have no clear buy signals or anything like that. So this is just one of those consolidation periods where it's one of those wait and see, because this seems to be following the overall market moving average, I suppose. So AOBC, if you're not familiar with this one, it is formerly known as the Smith & Wesson stock. If you don't know what that is, then just do your own research. You should know what that is. Haven't drawn any trend lines because I'm just trying to show you how, or my process at least. So as far as resistance, I'd probably put this around here. They don't have to be perfect. You can split a wick if you want, just depending on the overall market. Like I'm splitting this wick just because these wicks are simply matching up really well, which could indicate a better pattern on this trend. So if you can have reinforcing factors like this, all the better. They just make your trend lines even more significant. Now, like this one, I'd probably put like this. This one, I'd draw around here. See, it's like it's following very perfectly, like right off of these wick. If you draw a pattern off of this wick, that wick, that wick, that wick, that wick, you can see that it matched perfectly. So you probably got people buying right off of this trend. This one, honestly, I'm going to put a buy signal for, let's say, like tomorrow. Because tomorrow, I'm just going to leave it there to remind me that this is there, but tomorrow, depending on the development of the candle, especially if it opens above the high of this day, then we'll be in good shape to move back up, and your profit margins could stretch to 6.27%. Now, this being a very popular stock, this could be really good in terms of the volatility. And what I mean by that is, if it does end up dropping, it won't drop so excessively as something like a pharmaceutical stock or something like that. So ENDP, I just want to look back at. This one has been off my radar for quite some time, like I've been saying. I'll periodically look through it just to see if these resistances are accepted or rejected. This one I'm monitoring, it kind of looks like it's being rejected again, so it's going to probably come off my radar again until I can, I'm probably going to set an alert right here just in case it comes back up. But the reason why I like this one is because of the percentage, gain that are the potential off of this one. So, just track your volumes and, just make sure that you have some good potential. Like right here, for example, in my mind, I was like, well, you got some pretty good relative buying volume. Even though you have a doji, this is, ish doji, you have some market uncertainty right here, and then it ended up gapping up a little bit. So, if you manage to squeeze out $1 or $2 off of this, then, that's not too bad. So, that's ENDP. That's just one of those that you gotta monitor. That's why it's called the watch list. PFE is doing really good right now. PFE, I put a buy signal here like last week or a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, a week and a half ago. If you did end up buying, if you played this candle and just bought down here, then more power to you, because right now you're looking at, a profit margin of like 4%. This is, do bear in mind that this is, one of those S&P 500 ones, but, I think I'm, paper trading this one up here, so my profit margins are only 3%, but the resistance on this one is going to either stop right here, or it's going to keep going for, to make a play for the 33.61. So, it's not bad. It's more of a longer swing trade, if you will, that spans about a week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks. It really depends on whether it consolidates here for a confirmation or a rejection. CENX. CENX, I put a buy signal right here, just because of the type of development that this is causing. Now, the only thing that worries me is that this is 11 bars, and once you get past 12, your statistical margins in terms of success is reduced. So if you do end up buying, you're going to have to watch this one very closely, or set your stop loss to be a little more tight. This consolidation area is looking really, really good, because if this does end up breaking, this is going to follow the kind of a pull, little pull move. If it does end up pulling up, where a candle exceeds like, the overall trend, it's just gonna pull up, and this is technically called a high and tight signal, and I'm calling it a high and tight signal because it's roughly 90% over two months roughly. So if you look down here, you're looking at 950 for a play on this 1612. So this could easily go towards a high and tight type of move, which I preach this a lot, but this is one of the more, or if not the more, the most successful type of play you can get. So if it does end up breaking the 1624, which it looks like it's playing for it, then this is going to be in really good shape to move up. Now, if it does move up, remember that the average moving is 53%, so this could get really crazy in terms of your profit margins. So yeah, this is one that you're gonna have to keep in mind. I'm actually gonna put a note right here: high HT signal at, let's say, 1624. And now I'm going to set myself a alert here after we're done with this video. So so GSAT, GSAT, I'm only bringing up because of this consolidation period plus the combination of the price. I tend to favor near dollar, but not less than $1. But I do like near dollar stocks because they can move with direction that in terms of your profit margins they can really be profitable. Well, for this one, for example, like if you remember last week, I put a buy signal here, and sure enough, it went back up. Now, if I remember correctly, this was kind of those 50-50 buy signals where I was like, well, it can either go up or it can continue going back down and meet this resistance. I mean, this support line that is supported, in the past. So it is statistically significant in combination with the gap. I wouldn't foresee it getting down less than $1.30. So I was like, maybe if you put in like 50% position on the buy signal, then you'll be in good shape to have a stop loss just below the gap up to reduce your loss in profits, but you'd have a potential gain of 22%. And if you did end up doing that, and you set like a limit sell order for 50% right here, especially on this day, like on a day that moved up this aggressively, I would have been like, well, whatever, this is 17% when they move up like this, especially with this kind of history. They'll tend to go back down, and I would have sold 50% right here, and on this development of this candle is kind of showing some inconsistency or just the market going, wanting to do a reversal. Now it did gap up right here, and then closed low. So if you did end up staying, or if you sold 50% here and you just, for me, I would have sold here all of my positions because I don't like playing this kind of probability. But if you did end up staying on the opening, you could have managed to get like 21% or 22% like on a perfect trade. So this one, same thing. All I'm doing is I'm waiting for this to come back down to this support line and wait for it to come back up. And because this is a wedge, your profit margins are a little lower. But if it does end up breaking out because of that X marks the spot that's coming, then type of pattern, then you could end up getting a pretty good momentum trade off of that, especially with the historic highs right here. So this one's definitely one to watch for. I would put a signal here like $1.47 or something, just so that you can get signal to look at it and see what the price action is doing, especially in combination with the volume. Now what worries me is the low relative volume here. So if you can get some high buying volume, then more power to you, that'd be perfect. And HK, I'm digging this one. See if I can zoom in here. HK, the reason why I was looking at this one, if y'all remember, I was looking for a confirmation or rejection of this overall trend, and just based on this tall wick, I was like, well, obviously it's going to be rejected. Put a buy signal right here because there was this is where the support was going, and just the indication of this candle. I kind of thought it would start going back up, and sure enough, it did. And if you did end up playing this, obviously I would have had an automatic limit sell right here on this day for a 50% sell. So you're looking at like 9%, 10% gain on a 50% sell. And right here, you would have had 50% still, so you could have, cleaned out another 4% off of it. So that's that momentum. But there's on these, like if you ended up selling 50% and then another 50%, you're not playing the momentum. Now this is good, but it reversed so quick that on this day I would have just been like, if you did hold on to it, I would have just been like, well, screw it, I'm just going to grab another 11% or 17% or whatever it was, whoops, something like that, like 10%. So just grab the other 10%. You're not going to go broke by taking profits, even if you don't maximize your profit per investing period. You're never going to get a perfect trade. So as long as you end up positive, you can't go broke. So CENX, another. Oh, whoops! I wrote that one down twice. let me erase that. But yeah, CNX, obviously it's good enough to get in there twice, so one to watch out for. HK, oops, HK, let me zoom in here. Did I already look at this one? Yeah, I did. Okay, so we just looked at this one, OZM. Let's take a look at OZM. If y'all remember, over the course of the week, I was talking about this one, how it had a very predictable pattern right here, which is good. On this, in this area, I was really hoping for it to like come back down to this, you know, because it kind of indicated like the trend was heading up like this. And honestly, you know, this was always going to be in the realm of possibilities, just because, you know, look at this price action that's moving laterally. It's always testing this this area. So it went back down. It's kind of looking like it wants to consolidate. You know, you have these doji candles that are showing some market uncertainty, showing that it might want to go back up, and then it's being rejected and following down to the next support area. So, you know, this was like best case scenarios right here in terms of your profit margins. But yeah, let me erase this. Whoops. But you know, I did foresee this coming. I just didn't. I was hoping for it to come back down. But in combination with this and very high relative volume consistently, you know, I'm not surprised that this went up so much. So, you know, if you had your eye on this one, then you could have probably grabbed some profits, especially if you played the break on this area. Whoops, I selected area. Especially if you played the break on this, you know, if it broke above 3.3, especially in combination with this volume. If you recognized this volume, then you would have probably told yourself, well, this might be good, and how about that? It ended up doing, you know, going for a momentum, and you know, your profit margins are roughly 8.5%. So now it's going to be testing the 200 simple moving average, which is something that a lot of traders look at, the simple moving average or the estimated moving average. I might change this to estimated moving average, but they'll follow very closely. So I'm waiting on this to be a confirmation of that crossover. If it does end up crossing over, like I've always said, because this is a signal that a lot of long-term investors look at, you might get some a little slingshot momentum here because people are buying into it as the overall trend moves, especially with this this crossover right here of the 20 EMA in combination with the 20 simple moving average. This is a buy signal. Like if you saw this and you looked at it, there's your buy signal, that crossover. So if you bought here, then more power to you. But I did not, just because I'm not ballsy like that. Now let's take a look at the next one, RAD. RAD is on my radar because of the recent gap down. You know, typically when this kind of stuff happens, the stock wants to go back up, so I'm waiting for a confirmation candle in combination with the volume. Ignore stochastics on this one because stochastics will, because of such an aggressive move down, it's all going to be undervalued. It's all going to be like, if you look at the RSI, yeah, it's going to look undervalued, but you have to look at the fundamentals. Why did this gap down happen? So I think the market is settling on around $5.30 in terms of the overall value. Now, the market is never in complete agreement. You're never going to see $5.30 and then it's just going to stay right there, you know? It's going to look at that $5.30 and people are going to try and bring it up and bring it down. So that's basically all that I'm doing right here. If you're looking at this one, whoa. If you look at this, you kind of can see that it's forming a lot of dojis, which is market uncertainty, which is good. That's what I'm looking for because it gives us a buying opportunity in combination of a buy signal, especially with the crossover of these two. I wouldn't be surprised when these two cross over that this is going to shoot up, and you're looking at 12% before it reaches the gap down, the resistance on the gap down at least. So this one I'm pretty excited for in combination with CENX. PFE is doing really good. AMD. Let's take a look at AMD again. I'm wondering if it changed at all. No, see, it's, this one I'm really excited for if it moves back down, because it gives us a buying opportunity, especially for the high of the overall high. So, a lot of buying opportunities right now. Let's take a look at. This is just for a learning purpose, so if you're done with the watch list, you can X out of the video. But CBG. CBG is not officially on the list, but it's just one that I'm looking at because I do like the overall pattern in this consolidation period with a recent 200 EMA move. I'm hoping, never hope in the market. Play your probabilities, follow the rules. But this one is going to be very interesting because you've got an earnings on the 10th, so I'm curious to see where it's going to go. So just for practice, I'm going to be reviewing the fundamentals on this one, just to see if my predictability is on point. So this one might be interesting. Fast, I want to bring up Fast just because I called it right here, especially in this consolidation period a while back when I first started learning, and I was learning all the signals and types of rules and channels and whatnot. You had a combination of the long-term trend, channel trend, with the acute channel trend. So the combination of the two just indicated that this would move up pretty aggressively, and I was pretty excited about this one. But obviously I was paper trading at the time, so profits were all imaginary, but it helped reinforce a lot of things. So right here you got that crossover, you got increasing buying volume. These are all indications that this is going to do great. Once again, this is not a high and tide signal. This isn't following the high and tide signals rules, but you can still apply the high and tide signals type of rules here. So you got this consolidation period that breaks through here, but you do have to keep in mind that you have resistance area here. So this is pretty interesting to see. I wouldn't use this as a support or resistance line. That's just something I threw in there. But in an acute aspect, the fact that it broke through this and the increase in the volume, it is an indication that it would go up. Now if you follow the 20 EMA type of signals, then you would have bought here. If you're a 20 EMA and 20 simple moving average type of trader and you abide by those rules, then you would have bought here at 39.14, and you would have sold right here on this one for a 15.51% return. And you would have probably bit yourself, kicked yourself in the foot, or shot yourself in the foot saying, oh, well, crap, I sold too early, and that's why I abide by the 50% rule. I'm going to buy 50%. Oh, how about that? It kept going, so at least I'm going to keep taking profits. And same thing here. You would have bought here, and you would have sold here. And, that's 3.8% over 15 days. That's not bad. But seeing such an aggressive move up, I would have sold over here, especially on this consolidation area. Because this is just the market telling you, hey, I'm giving you a bunch of chance to sell a little bit, but you don't know where it's going to go. It could have like a candlestick that moves up, breaking the overall trend and moving back up. So, for me, firm believer that taking your profits, if it moves up, then at least you took some profits, and you're not putting money back into the market. You're taking it. Okay, so that's. Oh yeah, the reason why I wanted to show y'all Fast is because if you look here, we've got a perfect pipe bottom type of scenario here. See this pipe bottom? I'll go over the requirements for this, but the most successful type of pipe bottoms are going to be on the weekly candles, because that's going to give you an overall trend, a better overall trend. And you can see that these pipe bottoms, if you saw this and bought on this week, or you would have seen the development of this midweek maybe, and you would have told yourself, well, look at that, it is developing into a pipe bottom type of signal, so you would have probably bought right here. and followed up for a long-term trend of 24%, which is not too bad for 8 bars. That translates to 48 days. So that for 48 days, that's really not bad for 24 in terms of a long-term type of investment. I mean, I say long-term, but that's long-term for me. I tend to come out fairly quickly, like in a week or so. So that's about it. Yeah. Hit me up with questions if you got any. See ya.